What's going on, guys? It's Mighty Dark 13 back again for the wonderfully disastrous podcast. And here is a Matt. So, before we start, just want to say very quickly that if you're new to this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video out. Currently, I'm 3 subs away from 100, so let's try and hit that.
Yes.
Love the optimism from Matt there.
Look, I'm tired of dealing with my mic.
Yes, we've had many audio issues before the start of tonight's podcast. I can't talk English, clearly.
Yes.
Very quickly, I will apologise if you can hear like an air noise. I have a fan going because I'm quite warm.
I do as well.
Exactly. We both have our fans. We were both under the weather yesterday, so tonight's kind of a blessing.
Yes.
That we're recording at all. But yes, after the success of our Q&A today, Matt, would you like to tell our wonderful viewers the topic?
Ghosts.
Yes, so me and Matt are both, I'd go as far as say sort of avid believers in ghosts. Well, sort of. To the extent that we've gone and we've, in quotation marks, researched some ghost stories for you today.
For me, it's not so much ghosts, it's more just anything paranormal.
Yes, I've mainly focused on ghosts, which included watching about 90 minutes worth of ghost things on YouTube earlier that literally got me nowhere.
Meanwhile, I looked up one list and found the exact thing I was looking for.
Yes, there is going to be another podcast on ghosts at some point because I stumbled across something that is sort of very... there's a lot of ghost stories on it, put it that way.
Yes.
So these are obviously based around where we live, but I think before we start, probably should go through what the definition of a ghost is. And to me, it's obviously a spirit who's not moved on to the next realm after death because they're being held back by something or other.
Yes. Well, there's different types of ghosts that are held back for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, poltergeists, for example, are usually spirits that are angry because they've had a very violent death or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like if they committed suicide in a violent way or they were murdered or something like that.
Yeah. Basically what Matt said.
That is what a poltergeist is.
Yes. Matt will probably end up doing a lot of the definitions tonight.
Well, that's the one I know mostly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, poltergeists are probably the most sort of...
terrifying?
Yes. And coincidentally...
I wouldn't want to look for one.
No, I mean, coincidentally, like, you do hear stories of people being picked up and thrown across rooms. I remember listening to... I watched a series called BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural, and I know a lot of people are going to hear this and go, ooh, BuzzFeed. But I kind of listened to it, and they do a lot of ghost like things. Obviously it's supernatural, so they deal with ghosts, demons, all that. And they kind of said, like, or they had a woman on there whose dog was thrown by a poltergeist.
Aww.
I know. The dog was fine, I think.
Oh, good.
I think the dog was fine.
Unless it was possessed.
Yes, and then just a possessed dog crapping on your shoes in the morning.
That sounds like my cat as is.
Yes, but your cat's always been fucking possessed, let's be fair.
Which one?
Both of them.
True.
So, obviously Matt's got his thing of supernatural activity. I've got a few ghosts. So my starter one is about somewhere that's local to me, and it's a thing about Chislehurst Caves, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is a 21-mile cave system, which is obviously located in Chislehurst, which is actually not that far from me. And there are many, many, many different ghost stories there. There's sort of... It's got quite a checked history. It was obviously a chalk mine at one point. It was also used as an ammunition store during the First World War, and in the Second World War it was a air raid shelter. It's also been used as I am paraphrasing, by the way, I'm reading an online page. It's also been used during the 16th and 70s, as a music venue with legendary names such as David Bowie, Jimi Hendrix, Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd all performing there. But the ghosts, there's been many. there's been a ghostly cavalier from the English Civil War, and people say that they hear they hear footsteps before he sort of appears. For me, I'm a tad sceptical about that one, because obviously it being caves, sort of, you can sort of hear, like, you're going to hear things just because it's a cave system.
It could be something as simple as echoes.
Yeah, exactly. So someone could walk, say, at the other end of a tunnels or a cave, and you could hear that reiterated through.
Yes. Caves are a lot less, reliable.
Yes. There is also another one. It was also used as there was the tunnel roof of the stable section collapsed, killing a horse, and there is said to be a ghost of a horse that haunts the caves.
Well, of all ghosts that you can have, a ghost horse isn't the worst.
No, it's not. I mean, although I'd still be creeped out if I saw sort of a ghostly horse spectre galloping towards me.
It could look cool. It could look cool.
As long as it's just a horse, yeah. I mean, if there's like some headless dude on top of it, then no.
True.
That's like,
it's not something you'd want to run across.
yeah, but as I was saying anyway, there's, to sort of keep up the theme, there's also been what's known as a hellhound.
Fun.
Yes, so there's very little. The problem is with this first one, there's very little sort of background to them. This is quite easy to pick apart, shall we say?
Yeah, that's kind of the issue with.
Yeah, I mean, unless you see a ghost for yourself, which is something I'll go on to after I've finished mine, or after we finished our first stories.
It's hard to get real proof.
Yes, unless you sort of see one yourself.
Yes.
Then you're kind of screwed. There's also supposedly a druid princess who tragically drowned in the in an underground stream, but she hasn't been sighted since the Second World War. But there is another woman who sometimes gets confused, which is the Lady of the Lake. And the rumour has it that there was a woman who was drowned by her husband at that spot. He laid her body down with large stones, threw it in a pool, which was much deeper than it is today. Her ghost is now said to haunt the area. People who've seen her apparition describe her as dressed in white and being in a forlorn state. During excavations in the 1940s, they uncovered human skeletal remains. And since that day, sightings of the ghostly lady of the pool have increased. So, I mean, what can you say, really? It's like, the problem is when people say they've seen a ghost, and it does increase the sightings, because people obviously assume they've seen something when it could be just a shadow.
Yeah, that's the thing. If someone hears about it, any little thing, they could think, oh, that's it.
Like, yeah, exactly. And there's also another one from World War II here. This article does jump about a little bit.
Yeah.
But don't shoot me, I just found it on the internet. So there's also a female with a young woman pushing a pram. Nobody knows who the ghostly woman is, but some people believe that she could have died during a bombing raid in the Second World War, which is entirely likely.
Yeah.
And another one is during the Second World War, there was a little girl digging, and she tragically died when she was digging a hole in the tunnel, and it collapsed on her. Like, it's obviously chalk, and chalk is very, very brittle.
Yeah.
The chalk ceiling collapsed and killed her instantly. Her brother survived the accident. And some people say that they hear like of child's laughter, and some people have actually reported feeling a little like as if a small child's holding their hand. walking through.
Why are ghost stories always creepier when they're a child?
I think because children are seen as a thing of innocence, and ghosts are perceived as almost devil-like in some scenarios.
Yeah, depends on the ghost.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for my collection of Chislehurst stories. I personally have never been to Chislehurst Caves. I hope to go there at some point, but obviously I hope I don't see the ghost because I will shit myself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's true.
I literally will shit myself and run the other fucking way, get lost, and end up living as a wild caveman called Bob.
Called Bob?
Yep.
Why would you change your name?
Because I'm Grant on the upper levels of life in the caves, I am Bob.
Fair enough.
People who thought this was going to be a serious conversation about ghosts. Never going to happen.
Yeah, we're just kind of reading and then saying crap.
Like, we will be serious at some points. Like, if someone's died, then we won't take the piss out of that, unless it's a really stupid way of dying.
Yes.
Like, they tripped over and choked on an orange or something, then I'm sorry, but you leave yourself open to having the piss ripped out of you for that.
To me, that sounds like something you would do.
Oh no, I'd choke on a moose-flavoured crisp. Oh, sorry, llama-flavoured crisp.
Oh, no one's going to know what you're talking about.
Nope, inside jokes.
Okay, one of the ones that I also just tapped my laptop, sorry if that came through.
I didn't hear anything, but yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple of hotels here. One of which is the Fort Garry Hotel in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I actually have a Canadian map behind me, so I can sort of try and guess what that is. Oh, I can actually see it. That's quite funny.
Winnipeg, Manitoba is not hard to find on a Canadian map.
Yeah, I know. I've literally turned around and found it straight away.
It is the capital of Manitoba. So, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Should. But the ghost is a woman who committed suicide in one of the rooms after finding out her husband had died in a car accident. There have been reports from guests who have seen blood dripping down the walls.
Jesus.
And have felt the sensation of someone crawling into bed with them while alone.
Oh, God.
There have also been people who have reported waking up to see her standing at the end of their bed in the mornings and in the middle of the night. So,
I'd shit myself.
That would be fun. There's also a less famous ghost at the same hotel who circles the lounge and can be seen crying in a corner at various times.
Yeah, that's quite.
It's a thing.
It is. It is a very big thing. So, I've never, when I was younger, I perhaps didn't believe in ghosts as much as I do now. What changed my thing is when I was at college, I actually saw what I believed to be a ghost. Matt, I believe I've told you this story before.
You have.
Yes.
And I have told you that I sadly have never actually seen one.
No, but basically, I went to North Kent College, and as a matter of record, there was the sports block was made by Madame Osterberg, and there's a whole lot of history. I'll probably leave a Wikipedia page in the bottom so you can sort of read up on the history. Well, I was part of the student union, and we had a meeting. Sorry, class rep meeting, and there was only 4 people in the room and no way of getting in. We were stood by the only 2 doors in, and the fire doors were shut, and there's no way of opening them from the outside. Obviously, it's a fire door. And we're all stood down the front, and everyone's accounted for, when all of a sudden there was a black spectre go across the back of the room. And the room got very, very cold. I will admit I absolutely shit myself, but the thing is, right, is there was no ghostly apparition. It's not like it had claws or anything. It was like just a a hooded figure in essence just walking across the back of the room.
In fairness, ghosts don't usually tend to have claws.
No, but obviously,
You're saying it just looked like a person.
yeah, literally, it just looked like a short woman. Honestly, it looked like your average 40-year-old housewife.
Huh. So why would that ghost be at a college?
Well, this is the thing: is the college is built on the site of her gym.
Oh.
So, and one of the theories behind ghosts is that if someone walks the same way for, say, 50, 60 years, then they become imprinted on the land itself.
Yes.
So every so often, when the conditions are right, then there's a recreation of that.
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope that. I hope she's not just haunting the college for the sake of haunting the college.
Well, it could also be that.
Yes, quite possibly.
Because there's also the whole thing where ghosts sometimes stay in a place where they know or care about. Or they'll attach themselves to a certain place or a person to either protect it or just watch over it.
Yeah.
So it could be that.
It could be.
Even if what they were protecting is gone, it's just the actual if it was a building that was torn down and another one was built, it could just be them wanting to stay on that ground because it's a place that they know.
Yeah. So that's my experience with ghosts. Obviously, Matt hasn't had one.
Unfortunately.
But you never know. And I mean, the thing is there are other stories that we could have mentioned. Like, this is just a small selection of ones that we've picked. I mean, there was one that I was listening to about a fighter pilot that lost control of his plane, crashed his plane into his own car, and then crashed into his own room. I think it was what is now Teesside Airport, which is up north for anyone who doesn't. And he sometimes haunts there, but obviously that's something I'll cover in another podcast we do about ghosts. Like, I'll we'll go more in depth with that one later, but my next one is about the Tower of London, which is world renowned for being haunted because of the amount of gruesome shit that's gone down there.
Lovely.
So obviously the Tower of London is where we're talking about ghosts. I've just insane move out of the corner of my eye and shit myself. Fucking heck. The problem is I'm the only one downstairs at the moment. My mum's just gone to bed. Anything that moves, I'm going to go through the fucking roof.
So you're saying that I shouldn't just scream randomly?
No, please don't, because one, you'll deafen the audience, and two, I will need new underpants. And I will charge you for my dry cleaning bill.
We don't have the same currency.
I will charge you the equivalent in Canadian dollars. So fuck you. So anyway, the Tower of London was used as a prison back in the sort of Henry VIII era of history and even before then, and also holds the crown jewels. But it's also known for being haunted. So it's been around for, at the time of this article being written, has been around for 900 years, and is known as one of the most haunted places on Earth. I have actually been here, and I'm sad to say I didn't see any ghosts, but I was 10 at the time. So one of the first ghosts you will meet is Thomas Becket, who, when the inner curtain wall was being constructed, Becket seemed unhappy with this, reduced it to rubble with a strike of his cross. I'm assuming he was religious. I should know more. I mean, I'm quite a history buff, but I'm more focused on World War II. The grandfather of Henry III was said to be the reason for Thomas Becket's death, So he built a chapel in the tower for the Archbishop. People believe that Becket was pleased with the construction of his chapel because no further interruptions occurred after the incident with the wall. So the thing is you don't really see many ghosts from, should we say, 2000s. And apart from, see, I believe that there are ghosts from our sort of time period, so to speak.
Yes.
That's just an inevitability with the amount of crap that goes on in the world. But there's so many ghosts here.
A lot of the ghosts you hear about are generally ghosts from a long time ago.
Yes, they come from sort of Tudor times or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, Madame Osterberg, I think, was 1800, so that is reasonably recent in terms of ghosts. But I mean, another ghost here was Arabella Stewart, who married the nephew of Lady Jane Grey. The marriage was thought as a threat because it didn't have the permission of King James. Arabella was put under house arrest in Lambert while her husband Williams was sent to the Tower. Arabella plotted to get William released so they could travel to France together. However, William missed the rendezvous. Arabella set sail alone, but she was recognised and was sent back, this time to the Tower. William, on the other hand, made it to freedom. She stayed there till her death in 1615 in the Queen's house. It is believed she was murdered at the castle. One of the most persistent ghosts of the Tower of London is none other than Queen Anne Boleyn. She was married to Henry VIII, obviously, if you know your history, you know that. She was arrested and taken to Tower Green and was beheaded on the 19th of May, 1536. Several sightings of Anne Boleyn have been reported. She appears close to the site where she was executed and has also been seen leading a procession down the aisle of a chapel. Several people have reported seeing her headless body walking the tower's corridors.
Oh, that's fun.
I'd again shit myself.
Yeah. I'd be okay with seeing a ghost as long as they have all their parts attached.
Yeah, I mean, like, if there's a ghost that walks down the road and it's got, like, one arm or whatever, I'll be like, shit. But, I mean, if there's a headless fucker that walks towards me, I'm running the other way and calling Ghostbusters.
I agree with that.
Like, I'm not being funny, but there are some things that you don't fuck with, and headless motherfuckers is one of them.
Yeah. Here's a question that's slightly off topic, but sort of not because you said Ghostbusters. Would you call the original Ghostbusters or the new Ghostbusters?
I'd call the original, because for me the originals are always the best.
Well, I haven't seen, I've seen like half of the original movie, and then like none of the new movie. But I would call the new ones because I don't know. I feel like they'd be more modern and recent with dealing with stuff.
I suppose it depends what time period the ghost comes from.
Yes.
So obviously there's also a part of the tower that's called the Bloody Tower, which is where I'm assuming a lot of death happened.
Yes.
So there's a story of...
a name like the Bloody Tower, I would assume so.
Yes, exactly. There are two young princes, Edward V and his brother Richard, who were declared illegitimate by Parliament and sent to a tower. They were often seen happily playing around the grounds, but suddenly vanished and were never seen again. It was assumed they were murdered by their uncle, the Duke of Gloucester. Two skeletons believed to be children were unearthed beneath the staircase in the White Tower. The ghosts of the children are often seen wearing nightgowns, clutch each other in terror in rooms of the castle. They are also thought to be heard throughout the tower.
That's kind of a sad one.
That really is.
With child ghosts, they're either creepy or sad.
Or both.
Sad and creepy, yes.
Mm.
In before Grant starts to hear whispers of children saying, "Come play with us."
Oh, shut the fuck up. This is not The Exorcist. So there's also this is quite a long one for me. It also gives Matt time to prepare his stuff as well, which is always good. There is also a white.
I'm looking at mine as is, so I'm just waiting for you to be done.
Yeah, well, it's not my fault. This is a really long one. There is also a White Lady of the Massive White Tower. The White Tower is the oldest and most foreboding building and is the eerie haunt of the White Lady. She is said to have stood once at a window waving to little children at the building opposite her. Her cheap perfume impregnates the air on the entrance to St John's Chapel. And I believe this is the final one. Guards of the Tower of London have reported having a terrible crushing sensation upon entering the place where Henry, I'm assuming that's Henry VIII's, impressive suit armour is exhibited. A guard who was patrolling the grounds have reported the sensation of someone throwing a cloak over him. When he tried to free himself, a cloth was seized from behind and pulled tightly around his throat by his unseen attacker. So they are murderous motherfuckers.
Some of them are.
Yes.
I have sort of a more innocent, happier one. Well, happy is debatable considering they are ghosts, which means death, but still. There is the... Bear with me with pronunciations for some of these names in Canada, because God knows words are a thing.
Not for
the
me,
Algonquin Resort in St. Andrews, New Brunswick.
I'm going to try and find that now.
Is well, they call it a disturbing ghost on this, but the workers there believe that she was a former worker because she tends to mess around with the table settings and will arrange them the way she thinks they should be done. She can also be spotted at the bar crying, which is a bit darker, but but mostly she's just there kind of continuing to do her job. Which is similar to another one that's further down the page, I think, if I can find it. Here somewhere.
For anyone wondering, that's not ghosts in the background of the audio. That's Matt has children visiting at the moment. Yes, I'm glad you clarified that, because just as I said that, I was like, that's going to sound bad.
I'm 19, I don't have children.
That wasn't what I meant, but fair enough.
Oh, well, you took it to a much worse place.
Yes, I did.
Oh yeah, here's the other one that's similar to the one I just said. The Fairmont Banff Springs in Banff, Alberta. In Banff, Alberta. They have a ghost there that's known as Sam the Bellhops, who seems to do his job even while he is a ghost. He tends to open doors for people, make wake-up calls, and if a room is locked, he'll help them get in the room. And in the same hotel, darker one, there are stories of people seeing a bride falling down the stairs who was known to be a bride that died on her wedding day.
Oh,
she has also been reported to dance alone in the ballroom or just walk up and down the staircase.
That's really dark, like.
Yeah, I know, we went from a happy bellhop to a dead bride.
Yeah, I know, literally, it's like.
I think I've heard of that one before, too. Or something similar to it.
So, I think the one thing to take away from this is, obviously, everyone's open to their own opinion. And, I mean, I know I have at least 2 or 3 people who watch this podcast, or at least have listened to me talk about ghosts in the past, who believe in ghosts and have seen them. In fact, I had I was talking to a friend on Skype once who supposedly can see ghosts. I say supposedly. I believe her, but I know some people won't.
You told me about this, and I also believe her.
Yeah. Supposedly there was a spirit of an old lady who was flicking me off. Flipping me off, sorry. Like, supposedly she was really pissed off with me.
Yes.
Which is sums me up quite well.
I believe that friend of yours because that is another type of supernatural thing. It's a type of psychic medium.
Yeah.
Where you can see ghosts. There's different types of ones. There's ones where you can see them, where you can talk to them. Ones where you can hear them. All types of different types of psychic mediums. And that's one of them, where you can see ghosts and interact.
Yeah.
I wish I was able to do. Honestly.
Yeah, so do I, to be honest. Like, I mean, I'm more recently, in recent years, I've kind of. That's my dad. Walks through the door.
Hello, Grandpa.
It's fine, he's up the other end of the house. Yeah, so it's quite. I don't know, some of the ghost stories are quite sort of deep and, you feel a degree of sorrow for people. Other ones are just comedic on how they died and they're just sort of haunting. Just haunting for the sake of haunting.
If you hear about a ghost that died by, like, I don't know, like stepping on a marble and slipping.
I'd haunt just because I was pissed at that,
Yeah, that would be kind of unfair. But, yeah, some of them are sort of funny, but other ones are like, yeah, I don't know if I'd want to run into this ghost.
Yeah, a little bit.
Especially ones where it's like the one of the girl falling down the stairs. That would be...
Especially on a wedding day, that's just dark.
If I just saw one walking up and down a hallway, that wouldn't bother me as much.
Well, I mean, as I said,
If everything is attached, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, but obviously me seeing a ghost, I would kind of, well, as I openly admit, shit myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything else on your ones for that bit, or are we ready to move on to the next one?
Well, there's a couple more here that I can see that all include... Well, there's one that I want to read just to see if I can pronounce it because it's in Quebec.
I'll go for it. Wait, let me see if I can find Quebec.
What?
Yeah, I found it. I've got a Canadian map behind me.
Oh. The Fairmont-le-Château Frontenac in Quebec City, Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
People have reported sightings of the Count of Frontenac, Louis de Boyd, I think is how you pronounce it.
I wouldn't know.
Who the hotel was named after. Be seen walking around the hotel looking for his wife, who apparently left after he died. There have also been multiple reports of guests complaining a woman in white gets into bed with them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I didn't actually read that part of it. I just read about him. Okay. Oh, here's one where the ghost is understandably annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
At the James Bay Inn in Victoria, British Columbia,
yeah.
A painter named Emily Carr died there, and the room where she died is now the men's room at the pub. She's apparently unhappy about it and haunts the men's room, and phones often ring in the middle of the night with no one on the other line, and guests have complained that they feel like someone's watching them while they sleep.
That'd creep me out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've had nightmares where there's been sort of demons and Christ knows what else in my house. But
Or a killer cow.
or a killer. Did we tell that story last time?
Yes, we did, and you were slightly unpleased when I mentioned it.
Yes, I still am slightly unpleased you mentioned it again, you dick. Yeah, so I think one thing you can gather from this is that not all ghosts haunt for the same reason. Like,
No, they're not all bad.
no, obviously take Sam
They're not
Bell
all-
Pop as an
They're
example.
not all looking to make more.
No, they're just, although to be frightfully honest, if I was a ghost and I died from like tripping over a marble, I'd carry a little bag of marbles about and like throw marbles that trip people up.
Well, yes.
So I'd be a poltergeist by.
Yeah, but I feel like you wouldn't be an evil poltergeist.
No, I'd just be mischievous.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's strange on that score, like.
I'd just annoy the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
Especially if I was haunting you.
Yeah, I know what you'd be like as a guy if you haunted me. Excuse me.
I'm just saying you would never be able to find anything that you were looking for.
No, I know.
You're looking for your phone? Oh, it's suddenly in the other room.
Yeah, or it's just balancing on top of the bath or something.
Yeah.
Supposedly what you're saying is you'd be a pain in the arse.
Aren't I already?
Fair. So, for my next one, it is. This one actually has a title. So, yeah. And coincidentally, I'm reading it from a BuzzFeed article, which is based off a video about. I know. But it's actually based off a video about ghosts of the London Underground, which I've watched about 5 times because it's brilliant. Again, I will link it in the description below. This one is called The Faceless Woman of Beacon Tree Station.
Bacon tree?
Beacon. Yeah, Beacon Tree.
Beacon tree. Okay, whatever.
Can you stop taking issue with fucking British names of things, okay? You have a place
It's not
called...
the name, it's how you're pronouncing it.
Well, I'm from South East London, man. What do you expect? South London, whatever. Shut up. I don't even think the mic's going to sound up. It should pick that up, so I'll just sound like a dick at this point.
I heard someone talking.
Oh, fair. Maybe the mic did pick it up then. So anyway.
It just sounded mumbled.
Yeah. So in 1992, a station supervisor was working late shift in his office, which was just off the station platform. Suddenly he heard the door rattle, which usually meant there was a train about to come past. Or come in, sorry. Shortly afterwards, it rattled again, then again, but no train arrived. He went out to investigate, and as he was walking on the platform, he got the feeling someone was behind him. He turned and saw a woman with long blonde hair and no face.
Fine.
It was just blank where her features should have been. In 1958, the Dagenham train collision just beyond Beacon Tree Station left 10 people dead. So, again, looking into the history of this, because actually this is probably my favourite one out of the ones I've done, just because it involves railway lines and I like my trains. So, basically, the history of it is, in November 1956, Mr. Munn, the chief public relations officer of the London, Tilbury and Southend Railway, walked into the office of the barking advertiser, where I was a reporter. Not me, obviously, the person who wrote the article. He produced voluptuous plans and astounded us by announcing a massive scheme which he said would totally transform Barking Station and the whole rail system there. It would cost £1.7 million. As the rebuilding programme unfolded, we were to see the end of congestion when caused caused when steam-hauled boat trains from St Pancras had to cross the district line rails in order to get to Tilbury Docks. So basically, it's all just stuff. So anyway, in 1956, no, hang on, there we go. A major disaster in the steam age came in February 1958 when the 6:20 p.m. carrying city workers home from Fenchurch Street ran into the back of a 6:15 which had halted just beyond Dagenham Heathway. There was a thick pea soup fog, the sort which happily we see no more. You could barely see a hand in front of the face. 10 died and 86 were injured in the crash. The driver of a 6:20 train, a Dagenham man, was asked to explain how he failed to see a red signal and also a red light from a train at 6:15, but the fog was one of the thickest ever seen, and limited vision was exacerbated by the smoke from his locomotive. When his fireman screamed red light ahead, it was too late to just pull up the brake. Happily, that was the only accident of that magnitude. I mean, with that, the tube is known for having a lot of sort of very dark history because obviously it goes through a lot of when it was being built, it goes through a lot of sort of plague pits and graveyards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a fantastic thing.
Oh yeah.
Because ghosts everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some fantastic stories of the underground. I mean, I've got a couple more that I can go through.
Yeah.
But Matt, your next one?
Okay. Let's see. Here's one. At the Fairmont Royal York Hotel in Toronto, Ontario, there have been many guests who have complained about, oh great, children again. Children running and laughing up and down the hallways, only to find there are actually no children outside the door. It's the biggest complaint that they get, along with a man in a purple coat that haunts the 8th floor of the hotel. Here's the, okay. Sorry, I'm reading through it quickly.
That's fine.
Okay, so the ballroom shut down. It doesn't say when, but it shut down after violating multiple codes. Yet guests have complained that they often hear music coming from the ballroom if they're in the rooms underneath it. And on certain occasions, the elevator has been known to take you to the ballroom without having pressed any buttons on it.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
And I mean, in some ways you do get these, it's like some ships are haunted because they were used in like World War II and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's be fair, most ghosts are not trying to hurt you.
No.
But obviously there are some that go into, i.e. poltergeists. But yeah, so my next... I'm assuming you're finished at this point.
There's one more that I have that I can read out. The issue is with the... hold on. My brother just came in. Sorry.
That's fine.
The issue with the ones that I found, they're all kind of all over the place, and they've mentioned multiple ghosts, but they don't have much information on any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So one here is in the Fairmont Empress Hotel in Victoria, British Columbia. People have reported seeing a thin man with a mustache and cane who walks back and forth some of the hallways, and they believe it to be the building's architect, Francis Rattenbury.
That's a very posh name.
Yeah, I know. There have been other reports of a maid having been seen cleaning on the 6th floor who had been a previous worker at the hotel, and there are also reports of a woman knocking on people's doors in the middle of the night in polka dot pajamas specifically, asking for help to find her room.
I mean, that doesn't creep me out as much as I can just see that being annoying.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I wouldn't be creeped out if someone knocked on my door and asked for help.
No, it depends, if it's one of these things they sort of knock at like 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like asleep, you answer the door and there's just someone stood there in like polka dot pajamas. And It's like, how drunk are you, man?
No, I would be creeped out if they knocked on the door, I answered, and then turned away for a second and they were suddenly gone.
Yeah. Like, I think that's the problem with some ghost stories, though. You look at it, and as Matt said, they're sort of all over the shop, and there's 50 million different things happening.
Yeah, a lot of them don't have much information.
No, and I think that's the problem.
You kind of have to fill in the pieces yourself.
Yeah, which in some ways is okay, but
it also makes it very easy to
be skeptical about. Ow.
Yeah. It's why so many people are skeptical about ghosts and stuff.
Yes, because when people are looking at them, they're a bit sort of like meh.
Yeah.
So I have 2 more stories, and this is just through reading my article about tube trains.
Okay.
So this first one is called the Black Nun of Bank Station, which is obviously a tube station up London. I don't know any other facts apart from that.
Yeah.
So Cliff Archibald was in his office checking the CCTV after he'd closed Bank Station for the night. At 2 a.m. he spotted an old lady standing in a long corridor. He went to find out what was going on, and when he saw the woman, she turned and walked away. He ran to catch her, but she turned a corner, and when he reached it, she had disappeared. Now, watching this, it was what's called a dogleg thing, and there was no way that she would have been able to just vanish in the time it took her to get there. Took him to get there, sorry. Like, there's no way she could have got out because the station was locked down for the night.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't the first sighting of an old woman at Bank. Sarah Whitehead was a nun who had been heartbroken when her brother was executed in 1811. She used to wander the area looking for him, and the story goes she was buried in the grave where Bank Station now stands. So I believe she was called, literally her nickname was the Black Nun of Bank, but on the article I've just pulled up, like, so basically, sort of, again, I'm paraphrasing here. The legend has it that the Bank of England is haunted by an apparition best known as the Black Nun. The true identity of this nun is said to be one Sarah Whitehead. She had a brother called Philip, who was a member of esteemed bank staff in the early 1900s. Philip had quite a privileged job inside the cashier's office until the beginning of November 1811. This was the day that Philip was charged with forgery. The following year, Whitehead was sent on trial to the Old Bailey, and a guilty verdict was returned. Philip Whitehead was sentenced to death and hanged. For the bank's employees, it was a matter of the issue had been resolved and almost forgotten. The staff were almost surprised to discover Whitehead's sister turn up on the doorstep one day and ask to see her brother, not wishing her feelings. One clerk at the bank told her that Philip was away on bank business. When she returned the following day, she was told the same thing. The subsequent day to that one yielded the same results. Each time Sarah Whitehead turned up at the bank, she always dressed in the same style, a long black dress with a full face veil that did tend to make staff and customers a little uneasy. So basically, she would go there every day to ask to see her brother. I don't know if she didn't know or it was just grief forcing her to do it.
Yeah.
Again, this is probably one of the more sad ones. But it's one of these things, really. You look at it and it's kind of... You look at some of the... some of these stories we've covered so far have kind of been, a little bit sort of quite happy. Obviously, I'll make you think of it again. The bellhop one's quite a happy, positive one.
Yeah. I was just about to say, it seems like you have, it's like all the ones you have are like sad and dark, and then meanwhile Canadian ghosts are just like, oh, we have a bellhop who just wants to keep doing his job helping people.
Yeah, that is one theme that has appeared all the way through mine. Is that we have the more the depressive one.
It's just Canadians. We all just want to do nice things. Even the ghosts.
Yeah. So yeah. So is this like the final story you've got, or?
Yeah, I have one more. So in the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver in Vancouver, British Columbia, they have a apparently fairly famous ghost known as the Lady in Red. Apparently if you ask people who work there, they're more than willing to talk about her, and they treat her like she's part of the staff. She was known as Jenny Pearl Cox and visited the hotel quite often until she got into a fatal car accident in 1944. After her death, she apparently decided to stay at the hotel, and they are so fond of her that they've even named a drink after her.
Mm-hmm.
She is known to roam between the 1st and 14th floor, but is usually seen on the 14th floor, and people assume it's where she feels the safest. Apparently, if you book a hotel room on the 14th floor, there is a very high chance that you'll see her either entering a room or an elevator. I want to visit Vancouver now just to stay at that hotel.
Yeah, literally. Do you know what I was thinking? The same thing.
See, like, she's one of the good ones. She's like, yeah, she's just there.
She enjoyed being there in her sort of living life.
Yeah, it says that she visited the hotel often until she died.
Yeah, exactly. So she was like,
she just wanted to stay there.
Yeah, which is fair enough. I'd probably do the same thing if I found a hotel I liked.
True. You realize that if you ever come here or I go there, we are visiting some sort of haunted place?
Yes, definitely. It has to be done.
And we are staying until we see a ghost.
Mm-hmm. That could be very expensive.
Well, here's the thing. If you come to Canada, we're not staying here. We're going to Vancouver. We're staying at that hotel.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to see the Lady in Red. Or we can stay at the one with bellhop.
I'd like to do both, to be honest.
Then again, the one with the bellhop is also the one with the bride who fell down the stairs.
Yeah, but then again, maybe the nice bellhop would be like, it's fine, and then give us I don't know.
Maybe we can just avoid that staircase.
You know, I'll get drunk and forget about it though, and just walk down there and just see the bride fall down the stairs, panic and run the other way.
No, but then if you get drunk, then you'll probably be the one who falls
down the stairs, and then I'll be the ghost.
Oh, and then she'll have a friend. She won't be sad anymore.
Well, that'd be awkward.
Oh, good lord. I don't think there are any other ones here. I think I've read through most of them. So what about the one that died who's now haunting the men's room at a pub?
Oh, I can understand why she's pissed off.
Yeah, same.
Like, I'd be pretty pissed off, to be honest.
There's one more here that's also just literally 2 sentences because they have no information about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But at the Windermere House in Windermere, Ontario, again, names, there is a... Oh, the... Did you hear that?
Oh, you know what we should have said, Matt? We should have said you had 2 children ghosts in your house.
Well, that wasn't one of the children. That was my mom.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my god, she's been possessed.
Maybe. But, yeah. The first ghost at the one that I'm talking about now, he is apparently the owner of the building. Apparently his name is Thomas, no full name. He said to knock on doors and move items he believes should be in other places, which could get very annoying very quickly.
Mm.
And then other guests have reported they see a little girl next to their bed, only for her to quickly vanish afterwards.
That's creepy.
Just a bit.
Mm. So, again, children.
Yeah.
So my, say I've got quite a lot here, but I will save them for the next Ghost
There's
podcast.
way more than I think. They're all a lot longer than the ones I found.
Yeah, that's just because it's quite a. You know, this is just because it's a lot of mine are going to be probably based around London and London Underground.
Oh, there's one more here.
Mm-hmm. Just hold that for a minute because I've got another one. So my next one is about Bethnal Green, which is there have been some ghostly sightings out on the East End, and there's a truly sad history behind them. Workers at Bethnal Green Station have heard children sobbing, women screaming, and a general sound of panic. Usually it starts quietly and then rises to a sound of the word I can't pronounce, leaving anyone who hears it understandably terrified. It can all be traced back to a dark night in March 1943. As one of the deepest stations in East London, Bethnal Green was doubling as an air raid shelter when the Luftwaffe, which was the German Air Force, circled for an attack. Hearing sirens, residents streamed down the stairs into supposed safety of the station. Tragedy struck when an anti-aircraft gun went off nearby, starting a panic rush which led to a stampede. And supposedly a woman and child tripped over, and then people stopped to try and help them up, and then that obviously more people got crushed. And following on from that, 173 people died in the ensuing crush, and the screams still echo around Bethnal Green today.
Oh, that's horrible.
That really is. And I mean, considering you're already based in a world war, and then that shit happens when you're trying to get to safety, that's just... You can't imagine what's going through their heads, to be honest.
Again, with you having all the
really, really, really fucking depressing ones.
dark ones. Meanwhile, I just have ghosts that are generally light.
Seems we're a lot more sort of darker with the ghosts over in England.
Yeah, seems even the dark ones that I've had are just kind of like, oh well. I mean,
they're going to be a slight annoyance.
yeah.
Not, you know.
It's not going to scar you if you see them.
No, but I mean, that last one is especially. It's kind of, you look at them and they're trying to head to safety, and 173 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of lives, and with a lot of them being women and children, because obviously the men were off fighting.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it somewhat more tragic than any of the other ones I've read out tonight.
Yeah.
Or I should say this morning, because it's currently midnight for me.
Well,
But
that is true.
like, there's something. Ghost stories tend to be worse when women or children are involved. I don't know why.
Just kind of how, probably just how people think of it. It's like it's not different, but it is different.
Yeah. Obviously, any ghost story is sad because obviously someone's had to die pretty gruesomely to become a ghost.
Yeah.
If you're in England, anyway. In Canada, you can just stay at your favourite hotel because you liked it there.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, Canadian ghosts appear to be a lot friendlier.
I know that they say that the ghost of Marilyn Monroe is often seen at her favorite hotel. That's not Canada, but still.
No, but I mean, that's in itself is quite relaxing.
So instead of saying Canada, let's just say North America. Because for some reason Canada is part of North America.
Yeah. So,
well,
you are known as America's hat, so.
That is true. Or Snow Mexicans, depending on who you ask.
Yes, but that's normally the rednecks who like to ride cactuses, so. I could go worse with that, but I'm not going to. Because I quite like my channel. I don't want my channel getting shut down.
True. I mean, with YouTube now, the worst that'll happen, you'll get demonetized. It's fine.
Oh, I can't monetize my videos anymore anyway.
So it doesn't even matter.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, I have one more here.
I'm going to very quickly see if I've got another one, just to sort of end off on.
I don't know a word that I actually know how to pronounce because we learned about the person it was named after in history class. The Fairmont Chateau Laurier in Ottawa, Ontario. The hotel is known to be haunted by its previous owner / the founder of the hotel. He unfortunately died on the Titanic before the hotel was finished being built. So the staff believe that he returned to the hotel to make sure it was finished the way he pictured it. And as nice as that sounds, he's actually kind of a jerk and tends to break objects and open doors when he pleases. And if you're lucky, you'll apparently see him walking around the hallways. So, I mean, he went back to make sure it was finished the way he wanted it, but he decided to be a jerk after that.
I'm assuming it wasn't finished how he wanted it then.
That's possible. I mean, he couldn't really change it if they didn't do it how he wanted it. Which is sad. But, that doesn't mean he needs to break things. Opening doors, sure. Breaking things, it's a bit much.
So, I have two here, and I'll ask you to pick one, Matt.
Okay.
I've got one about the British Museum / Holborn Station, or I've got one about Farringdon Station.
I don't know what either of those are.
We'll just pick one.
Museum.
Right, cool. That's the more exciting one out of two.
Oh, cool.
So the article goes, okay, so no trains have been through the abandoned British Museum station in over 80 years. However, the sheer malevolence of its resident ghost means that it's truly truly terrifying, haunted underground stop. Many people believe that the long abandoned British Museum tunnels are haunted by a ghost of Egyptian god Amun Ra. He's no Casper the Friendly Ghost either. People have blamed him for the disappearance of 2 women from a neighbouring Holborn station in 1935.
Wait, they think it's haunted by an Egyptian god?
Yeah. The rumour goes...
Is that really a haunting then in that case?
Well, they're classing it as a haunting. I mean...
There
are mummies in the British Museum, I believe.
There are mummies in many museums.
Yes, but let's face it, it's Britain and we tend to have them all.
And during a visit to a British museum, there tend to be many mummies.
Yes, exactly.
Especially if they have small children.
That was terrible.
It's your fault for British people calling moms mummies.
Yes. The rumour goes that there's a secret tunnel connecting the Egyptian room at the British Museum to Holborn. Logic suggests that the ghost of Amun-Ra has been using this tunnel to travel to Holborn and snatch tube passengers to take back to his lair. Since secret London HQ is in Holborn, the one has a little bit more worried than the rest. So, that last one, like the first one I said about, I'm quite sceptical about. Because, I mean, 1935 on the tube, health and safety probably wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like, they could have gone down there themselves and got lost. I'm pretty sure they probably searched the tunnels. And he might have been an Egyptian god, but I doubt he was like, hey, look, 2 British women, I'm just going to steal them. I could be wrong. Maybe he did.
I don't think an Egyptian... Also, not only is... I know a little bit about Egyptian mythology, and not only is he a god, he is like the god. Like he's the king of the Egyptian gods. And I know this because of a book that I've read. But
Why, you read books?
Well, the one book series that I've read, yes.
Yeah.
He is the god of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a while since I've read it, so I'm a little bit rusty. But I know he's the sun god, and he also has 3 different forms that he can appear in.
Mm-hmm.
And but there's never been any mythology on him kidnapping British women.
Yeah, like that's why.
So I kind of don't fully believe that is an Egyptian god.
No, I'll be honest. I'd guess that there was a murderer and he was just like, "Lo, I'm going to take these women and blame it on a ghost."
Probably. So I'm a bit skeptical about that one.
Yeah, I will admit that. So am I. So yeah. So to finish off, I'd say if you looking, I mean, I'm guessing you know the history of certain areas of Canada quite well. So go with me. So if you had to pick one place that you thought would be like a quote unquote hot spot for ghosts, where would you say, like?
Well, in fairness, the Titanic sank off of the coast of one of the Canadian provinces.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say somewhere close to that.
Yeah.
Because...
No, there might even be a ghost of a Titanic.
There have been reports before of people seeing ghost ships in various locations. Never about the Titanic around here, but still.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there is, in Dover Castle, there is what they call the wartime tunnels, which were obviously tunnels dug in the chalk used during the Second World War for, like, communication and stuff, because obviously Dover's right on the coast next to France.
Mm-hmm.
and there was even a hospital in there where people were like pilots and whatever operated on.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's haunted. And for the next ghost podcast we do, I may well look into that.
Would be an idea.
Because I mean, I'm actually quite interested now. But yeah. Well, we're both out of ghost stories, so I think.
Now.
Well, I mean, let's face it. When we first planned to do this, we were going to be like, "Oh, we'll only do like 3."
Yeah.
And then we were like, you know what, we'll just keep rolling with this.
Well, the thing, we stayed. We were a lot better with keeping the off-topicness to a minimum.
Yes, which is very, very
I
unlike
expected.
us.
I expected us to read one out and then go off on a 30-minute tangent about it.
Yes, but then again, don't expect this always.
Yeah, don't expect us to always be this efficient.
Yes, there will be times where we are not this efficient.
There are times when you're going to hear us just talk about random crap for an hour.
Yes, literally, and that
we'll
will
have
be
to put up.
probably the next podcast, to be honest, because we ain't got a clue what to do.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, so I guess there ain't a lot else to say apart from say to Matt, thank you for co-hosting with me, mate, and thank you for teaching us about the Canadian ghosts, who are a lot nicer than the British ghosts. Or at least the circumstances surrounding them are a lot nicer. At least. But yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. And it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from Matt.
Bye.
And we will see you in the next one. So, peace
Yeah.
out.